Hello my friends, welcome back to my channel. I know many of you are the fans for the Range Rover L322. If you search on the internet, you will see many pros and cons about the legend vehicles. So, in today's video, let's spend a wonderful time to discuss the common problems you should know for a L322 Land Rover. First, let's see. Number 1. Air suspension. When it comes to the superior ride quality and off-road ability, we will mention the Range Rover L322 because of its all-around air suspension. Even though the air suspension is pretty comprehensive, but when you put a 3-ton weight car on it, it is still a heavy burden. So it makes a lot of components in the system fail and damage the construction. Most air suspension faults have the same symptoms. A suspension inactive message will show on the dash display. The suspension will race very slow or even can't race at all. The driving mode is out of work and only can go into standard ride mode but not go into off-road mode or access mode. Sometimes it may restrict car's performance and the dreaded home mode sign will appear. When the above issue occurred, it may be one or more reasons to cause it. If you take your vehicles to the dealership, they will likely recommend that you replace the faulty components with more air suspension components. Until you replace all the components in your air suspension system, you will be in the non-stop repairing for the rest of the vehicle's life. So, what we will suggest you is another way to fix the annoying problem of Range Rover air suspension. You can get rid of the troubled air suspension from a good and convert to strong ordinary coil spring. It is worth to sacrifice a bit of the comfortable ride experience for exchanging the Range Rover 4.4 TDV8 reliability. Number 2. Fuel gauge. It is a common problem on Land Rover 4.4 V8. If you're asking why some owners of the L322 had fuel gauge reading incorrectly problem, the faulty fuel pump or a faulty ECU will be the answer. First, let me explain two codes that would appear when your fuel gauge failed. Number 1. P0627. That means the fuel pump, a control circuit open. Next, P008A. That means low pressure fuel system, means the pressure is too low. By reading the codes P0627, we notice that there is an open loop in the electrical source from the fuel pump. Open loop meaning the connection of the signals were poor or even can't be sent to the ECU from one of the fuel pump wiring. The P008 mentions it has the low pressure fuel system, which I assume this was caused by code P0627, the open circuit. Luckily, this can't be replaced and solved by finding the open circuit. Short on wirelings or fuel pump can fix it. If you think that you can live with a faulty ECU on the dashboard, you should be careful that the ECU might thought the fuel tank is empty and it will stop the engine to prevent any damage and not start again. If you are not lucky, the engine would be shut down at the inconvenient time and even an awkward location. Overall, we suggest maintaining the car regularly. Number 3. The brake disc. No matter which size of Range Rover, their brake pad and disc consume a lot. It is the smallest problem in every Range Rover province. Normally, the car replaces the brake system every 60,000 miles, but Range Rover's brake system needs to be replaced every 30,000 miles because of its heavy weight. Alright, now you know the problems about the air suspension, fuel gauge, and brake disc. Next, let's dive deeper to discover the most complex system in the car, and that's the transmission. The gearbox of L322, which is ZF and GM5, and they are well known for the automatic gearbox problems starting from around 80,000 miles. Some of the common faults are shuddering at approximately 2,000 RPM, slow gear engagement and gear changes when cold, torque converter lockup. This is Range Rover 4.4 SDV8 common problem. At first, a reluctance to shift gear and the engine management or gear monitors fault sign appearance on the dashboard. If you still not maintain the car, the next symptom would be a chattering noise under drive. When the above Range Rover 4.4 TDV8 engine problems occurs, stop driving the vehicle now and call the recovery truck to take it to the car repair shop. By the way, the cost that some customers are being quoted were about thousands of bucks. It was way too high for an old vehicle. Most of the people prefer selling their vehicles instead of paying the huge price on the cost of repair. As the saying goes, penny wise, pound foolish. So, we highly recommend to maintain your car regularly to prevent bad things from happening. Now, let's see the number 5 problem, which is the loss of power. Many issues could cause 4.4 Range Rover engine to lose power and engine rough. This problem could cause from a vacuum leak, a worn timing belt, a voltage catalytic converter, a problematic fuel pump and airflow sensor, or a malfunction in the ignition coil. The most common Range Rover 4.4 V8, the diesel engine problems are EGR valves or a split in one of the intercooler hoses and cause the vacuum leak that the air and fuel mixture is incorrect, leading to poor performance. In addition to your vehicle hesitating as you drive, you may also notice the black smoke coming from the exhaust, poor fuel mileage, and overall the poor performance of the vehicle. We suggest to change both hoses even if you only have one hose is faulty because the other will fail very soon after. Alright, after we talk about the common problems of L322 from the Range Rover, next, I'm going to give 4 bonus tips for you to check your Range Rover L322. Number 1, the engine. Listen for a rattle at idle from the supercharger. Number 2, check the coolant expansion tank. Check if there was a failed O-ring seals at the water jacket housing behind the engine, causing overheating and coolant leaks into gearbox. Number 3, check the air suspension screws the 3 height settings noiselessly and check the bellows aren't leaking. Listen for the front wishbones knocking under braking and the rear hub bushes clocking over bumps. Number 4, the brakes. Check brake disc and pad every time before you driving. These are the top 4 checking points for you to maintain your L322. This information will help you to maintain your 4.4 L322 Range Rover with good cares. Alright my friends, I hope you enjoyed today's video and like the tips and hacks we prepare for you. As always, I appreciate of you watching and I wish you all the best with your life, your family, and I will see you very soon next time. Adios!